indecent to be defeated by the decent, and that is the struggle for human rights.
Brings all that you can't leave behind.
We also want to let the world know what that
November 10th, 1989. For the first time in almost 30 years, Berliners from the East were free to cross the Berlin Wall to meet their fellow Germans in the West. In October, a series of anti-government demonstrations began in East Germany. The protests were in response to the recent visit by Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev. Gorbachev had given the Russians new freedoms. The protesters demanded to know why East Germany had not shared in these reforms. The East German government tried to stop the protest, but they continued. The pressure on the government forced longtime President Erich Honecker to resign. The reform movement continued to gain momentum. Protests became a regular occurrence in most large East German cities. 500,000 marched in Leipzig and over 1 million in Berlin. The people were speaking en masse. The government had two options in dealing with the political protest. They could crack down militarily or concede to the demands. In an unbelievable move, the entire Politburo resigned. The people had won. The communist president still led the government, but with each day, the people were assuming more control of the country's direction. Even the president caved in to the political pressure, and on November 9th, he opened the border crossing points between East and West Berlin. He thought his concession would save East Germany, but instead, he hastened its demise. Within hours of the announcement, people started turning up at border checkpoints. At first, border guards demanding proper visas turned away everyone, but the people had learned how persuasive a crowd can be. They continued to push the guards until Checkpoint Charlie was opened. The East Berliners were welcomed by their Western neighbors. At Berlin's Brandenburg Gate, guards still kept watch over the wall. When the first West Berliners tried to breach it, the guards tried to drive them back with fire hoses. But finally, the people won again. In their excitement, hundreds climbed onto the wall. Reporter Brian Hanrahan was a witness to the celebration.
Standing on top of the Berlin Wall, which for years has been the most potent symbol of the division of Europe. And there can be few better illustrations of the changes which are sweeping across this continent than the party which is taking place here on top of it tonight.
I want to be an astronaut.
But this will need to be more than a piece of November madness to wipe out the bitter memories of the past. And with nobody to stop them, it wasn't long before the first attempts were made to destroy the structure itself. Everybody was testing how far they could stretch their new freedoms.
In December, East Germany began to dismantle the wall itself. The giant concrete structure that had been the symbol of communist domination and East-West division came down. The wall's destruction would become a new symbol for the rebirth of the freedom that would shortly sweep throughout Eastern Europe and the Soviet Union.
Barack Hussein Obama,
I,
do solemnly swear.
I, Barack Hussein Obama, do solemnly swear.
That I will execute the office of President to the United States faithfully.
That I will execute
faithfully the office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States faithfully.
And will, to the best of my ability.
And will, to the best of my ability.
Preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
My fellow citizens, I stand here today humbled by the task before us, grateful for the trust you've bestowed, mindful of the sacrifices borne by our ancestors. I thank President Bush for his service to our nation. As as well as the generosity and cooperation he has shown throughout this transition. 44 Americans have now taken the presidential oath. The words have been spoken during rising tides of prosperity and the still waters of peace. Yet, every so often, the oath is taken amidst gathering clouds and raging storms. These moments will be met. On this day, we gather because we have chosen hope over fear, unity of purpose over conflict and discord. On this day, we come to proclaim an end to the petty grievances and false promises, the recriminations and worn-out dogmas that for far too long have strangled our politics. We remain a young nation, but in the words of Scripture, the time has come to set aside childish things. The time has come to reaffirm our enduring spirit. For those who prefer leisure over work or seek only the pleasures of riches and fame, rather it has been the risk takers, the doers, the makers of things, some celebrated, but more often men and women obscure in their labor, who have carried us up the long, rugged path towards prosperity and freedom. For us, they packed up their few worldly possessions and traveled across oceans in search of a new life. For us, they toiled in sweatshops and settled the West, endured the lash of the whip, and plowed the hard earth. For us, they fought and died in places like Concord and Gettysburg, Normandy and Quezon. Time and again, these men and women struggled and sacrificed and worked till their hands were raw so that we might live a better life. They saw America as bigger than the sum of our individual ambitions, greater than all the differences of birth or wealth or faction. This is the journey we continue today. We remain the most...
One day the money's gonna stop. No wages. Come on, give God a praise! Yeah!
27 years in prison before he was given the chance to bring change to South Africa.
From this massive crowd, the government...
February 11th, 1990. South African blacks celebrated the release of Nelson Mandela from prison. His wife Winnie was by his side as he walked as a free man for the first time in 27 years. Mandela was a hero of South African blacks. His name virtually synonymous with opposition to apartheid, the South African system of racial segregation. And in 1964, Mandela was convicted of sabotage and conspiracy. He was given a life sentence, but it was commuted and he was released at the age of 71. Mandela surprised many when he said blacks and whites must work together in order to create a South Africa where all people can be free. In April, Mandela received a hero's welcome from 100,000 people in England's Wembley Stadium, as well as a musical tribute from an eclectic group of pop stars. The music was different, but the sentiment towards Mandela was the same when he traveled to Paris. And in New York, it was a ticker tape parade and brass bands that welcomed the freedom fighter to America. Mandela used the visit to this and other U.S. cities to try and persuade Americans to continue sanctions against South Africa. Before, Nelson Mandela became the first black president of South Africa, following the first biracial election in the country's history. He and his African National Congress continued the struggle to bring racial harmony to South Africa.
While the story
Solo valgo por lo que soy y por lo que tengo. Son vuestras gloriosas vanguardias descansadas de la paz. Las que están presentes hoy, porque han tomado el porvenir en sus manos y saben que la justicia y la libertad, la todo lo que hice, no lo hice nunca para ocupar ninguna posición política en mi país. Presidenta no es más que un honor, si yo quiero aspiro nada más que el honor del cariño de mi patria.
My sister, she is a primary school teacher. She said...
Hello, I'm Severin Suzuki, speaking for ECHO, the Environmental Children's Organization. We're a group of 12 and 13-year-olds trying to make a difference. Vanessa Setti, Morgan Geisler, Michelle Quigg, and me. We've raised all the money to come here ourselves, to come 5,000 miles to tell you adults you must change your ways. Coming up here today, I have no hidden agenda. I am fighting for my future. Losing my future is not like losing an election or a few points on the stock market. I am here to speak for all generations to come. I am here to speak on behalf of the starving children around the world whose cries go unheard. I am here to speak for the countless animals dying across this planet because they have nowhere left to go. I am afraid to go out in the sun now because of the holes in our ozone. I am afraid to breathe the air because I don't know what chemicals are in it. I used to go fishing in Vancouver, my home, with my dad, until just a few years ago we found the fish full of cancers. And now we hear of animals and plants going extinct, every day vanishing forever. In my life, I have dreamt of seeing the great herds of wild animals, jungles and rainforests full of birds and butterflies. But now I wonder if they will even exist for my children to see. Did you have to worry of these things when you were my age? All this is happening before our eyes, and yet we act as if we have all the time we want and all the solutions. I'm only a child, and I don't have all the solutions. I want you to realize, neither do you. You don't know how to fix the holes in our ozone layer. You don't know how to bring the salmon back up a dead stream. You don't know how to bring back an animal now extinct. And you can't bring back the forest that once grew where there is now a desert. If you don't know how to fix it, please stop breaking it. Here, you may be delegates of your government, business people, organizers, reporters, or politicians, but really, your mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, aunts and uncles, and all of you are someone's child. I'm only a child, yet I know we are all part of a family, 5 billion strong. In fact, 30 million species strong. And borders and governments will never change that. I'm only a child, yet I know we are all in this together and should act as one single world towards one single goal. In my anger, I am not blind, and in my fear, I am not afraid of telling the world how I feel. In my country, we make so much waste. We buy and throw away, buy and throw away, buy and throw away, and yet northern countries will not share with the needy. Even when we have more than enough, we are afraid to share. We are afraid to let go of some of our wealth. In Canada, we live the privileged life, with plenty of food, water, and shelter. We have watches, bicycles, computers, and television sets. The list could go on for 2 days. 2 days ago, here in Brazil, we were shocked when we spent time with some children living on the streets. This is what one child told us. I wish I was rich. And if I were, I would give all the street children food, clothes, medicines, shelter, and love and affection. If a child on the streets who has nothing is willing to share, why are we who have everything still so greedy? I can't stop thinking that these are children my own age, that it makes a tremendous difference where you are born. That I could be one of those children living in the favelas of Rio. I could be a child starving in Somalia, or a victim of war in the Middle East, or a beggar in India. I am only a child, yet I know if all the money spent on war was spent on finding environmental answers, ending poverty, and finding treaties, what a wonderful place this earth would be. At school, even in kindergarten, you teach us how to behave in the world. You teach us not to fight with others, to work things out, to respect others, to clean up our mess, not to hurt other creatures, to share, not be greedy. Then why do you go out and do the things you tell us not to do? Do not forget why you are attending these conferences, who you're doing this for. We are your own children. You are deciding what kind of a world we are growing up in. Parents should be able to comfort their children by saying, everything's going to be all right. It's not the end of the world, and we're doing the best we can. But I don't think you can say that to us anymore. Are we even on your list of priorities? My dad always says, you are what you do, not what you say. Well, what you do makes me cry at night. You grown-ups say you love us, but I challenge you, please, make your actions reflect your words. Thank you.
Protect your children and don't let the system kill them. No, no. Protect the youth, man. Tell him the truth, man. Yeah. Tell him the truth about the one mankind. Tell him the truth. Tell him the truth. Tell him the truth about the one creation. Tell him the truth. Tell him the truth. And so they refuse to live in separate nations. Tell him the truth. Tell him the truth. Tell him.
At this time, I have the honor to present to you the moral leader of our nation. I have the pleasure to present to you Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr.
No, we are not satisfied, and we will not be satisfied until justice rolls down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. am not unmindful that some of you have come here out of great trials and tribulations. Some of you have come fresh from narrow jail cells. And some of you have come from areas where your quest for freedom left you battered by the storms of persecution and staggered by the winds of police brutality. I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today I have a dream that one day down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, one day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, and every hill and mountain shall be made low. The rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. This is our hope. This is a faith that I go back to the South with. With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope.
I'd like to ask each and every one of you tonight to join us in a celebration.
We are entitled to have, the basic human rights. So we shouted, "Do-ye, do-ye," that means our rights.
How change happens.
82% of the seats in parliament, and Aung San Suu Kyi became their chosen leader.
1991, while still under house arrest, and with many of her friends and supporters behind bars as political prisoners,
I am not afraid. I am not afraid. I am not afraid. I am not afraid. I am not afraid.
free!
Burma, Burma must be free!
Burma, Burma must be free!
Free, free, free!
The situation in Burma.
Freedom.
It's no secret, the day is coming, and it's a day.
Between 1947 and 1991, what we have had in Hungary, the people didn't have a freedom of speech, you know, they had no freedom at all. And